Parents abandoned their baby, claiming she was too ugly. Years later, she returns with an unbelievable surprise. In a tale that will pull at your heartstrings, follow the journey of a little girl who was left behind due to her unique appearance. Despite a difficult start, she rises above adversity and grows into someone extraordinary. What happens when she confronts the parents who once turned away? This story is one you won't forget. Please do me a favor. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get started. The hospital room was quiet, as if someone had pressed a mute button. Usually, when a baby is born, everyone is filled with happiness and excitement. But this time was different. Dr. Andrews held up a tiny baby girl. She had curly, light-colored hair that looked like golden clouds on her head. Her pink onesie was adorable, but something didn't seem quite right to her parents. The baby's parents, Hannah and Lucas, exchanged worried glances, their faces tense, as if they had tasted something sour. "Is our baby okay?" Hannah asked, her voice trembling. Dr. Andrews tried to sound reassuring, but even he was nervous. "She's perfectly healthy. She just looks a bit different." Hannah and Lucas couldn't stop staring. The baby's face was puffy, with unusual marks on her skin, and her hands were slightly deformed. This wasn't the picture-perfect baby they had imagined showcasing to friends and family on social media. When it was time to leave the hospital, Hannah and Lucas acted strangely. They filled out the paperwork without a word, their faces blank with unease. Hannah carried the baby in her arms, but she looked distant, as if holding something heavy instead of her own child. "Let's go home quickly," Lucas whispered, glancing around nervously. At home, the atmosphere felt heavy. The nursery, which they had painted pink and filled with stuffed animals, seemed lifeless. Hannah set the baby's carrier down on the floor, but didn't pick her up. "What are we going to do?" she asked, her voice breaking. "We can't show her to our friends and family. What will they think?" Lucas said nothing, just shook his head and left the room. Over the next few days, they cared for the baby, but didn't bond with her. They didn't cuddle or sing to her, and they hadn't even given her a name. 3 days later, Hannah and Lucas did something unthinkable. In the middle of the night, they drove to Bright Future's orphanage. They left the baby at the front gate with a note. "We can't take care of her. Please find her a loving home." As they drove away, they had no idea that the baby girl they thought was too different to love would one day grow into someone extraordinary and surprise them with a visit they'd never forget. Life was challenging for the little girl at the orphanage. The other children weren't kind, teasing her for her appearance with names like Lumpy and Squashy. Eating with utensils was difficult due to her hands, but there was one person who saw her worth: Ms. Beatrice, the warm-hearted caretaker of Bright Futures. "Listen to me, sweetheart," Ms. Beatrice would say, enveloping her in a comforting hug. "You've got a light inside you that's brighter than any star in the sky. Don't let anyone dim it." Ms. Beatrice named the girl Lila, saying her smile was as bright as a field of flowers. As Lila grew, she became braver and more determined. If someone told her she couldn't do something, she worked twice as hard to prove them wrong. She spent hours practicing her handwriting until her messy scribbles turned into graceful letters. When the other kids played sports, Lila made up her own games and became the champion of hopscotch and shadow tag. Still, there were difficult moments. One day, when she was 8, a new girl named Mia arrived at the orphanage. Upon seeing Lila, Mia screamed and ran away. Heartbroken, Lila hid in the bathroom and cried until Ms. Beatrice found her and wrapped her in a long, soothing embrace. "Remember what I always say, Lila, real beauty comes from within." Lila wiped her tears and nodded. "You, my dear, have the most beautiful heart I've ever seen." From that day forward, Lila made a promise to be welcoming to every new child, no matter how they reacted. She became known as the orphanage's One Girl Welcome Committee, always greeting newcomers with a warm smile. As a teenager, Lila discovered her love for art. Despite her uniquely shaped hands, she created breathtaking sculptures. She called her collection "Different is Beautiful," showcasing figures that reflected her own features in creative, vibrant ways. One day, a woman named Mrs. Harper, who owned a prestigious art gallery in the city, visited Bright Futures. When she saw Lila's work, her eyes widened. "This is incredible," Mrs. Harper said. "You're showing the world how beautiful being different can be." Mrs. Harper offered Lila a solo exhibition at her gallery. With Ms. Beatrice's support, Lila prepared tirelessly. The exhibition, titled "Different is Beautiful," was a hit. Art critics, locals, and even a few celebrities came to see her work. Lila stood among her sculptures, proud and a bit nervous, sharing her story and the inspiration behind her art. As the evening progressed, a tall woman with vibrant hair approached her. "Hi Lila, I'm Nina from Unique Vibes Modeling Agency. We celebrate diversity, and I think you're perfect for our team." Lila's eyes widened in shock. "Me? A model?" She remembered Ms. Beatrice's words about her inner light and stood tall. "Yes," she said with quiet confidence, "I'll try." The following months were a whirlwind. Lila appeared in photo shoots wearing elegant outfits and walked on runways with grace. Her story inspired others worldwide to embrace their differences. Yet fame came with challenges. One day, while reading comments online, Lila saw a post that hit her hard. "Who would abandon a baby? Only heartless people do that." The words stung, but they sparked her determination to learn about her past. With the help of Ms. Beatrice, Lila hired Sam Rivers, a private investigator with a reputation for solving cold cases. Sam started by examining the orphanage records and the note left with baby Lila. The initial leads were scarce, but he persisted, combing through hospital records and making endless calls. Finally, he found a birth certificate from around the time Lila was left at the orphanage. The parents' names, Hannah and Lucas Bennett. Sam traced their movements over the years and discovered they now lived in a suburban neighborhood not far from Bright Futures. Lila stood outside their house, her heart pounding. Wearing a sparkling dress that made her feel confident, she knocked on the door. It opened slowly, revealing a man and a woman who gasped when they saw her. "Hi," Lila said, her voice shaking. "My name is Lila. I think I'm your daughter." Hannah and Lucas looked as if they'd seen a ghost. "It can't be," Hannah whispered. "Please come in," Lucas said, his voice rough. Inside, the house was filled with family photos. None of them included Lila. Hannah began to cry. "We were young and scared," she said. "We've regretted it every day." Lucas nodded, staring at the floor. "We've carried this guilt for years." Lila took a deep breath. She was angry and hurt, but remembered the love she received from Ms. Beatrice, Mrs. Harper, and everyone who believed in her. "I didn't come here to make you feel bad," she said softly. "I came to show you that the baby you left behind grew up to be someone amazing." She showed them pictures of her magazine covers and art shows, highlighting her journey. Hannah and Lucas were speechless, tears streaming down their faces. "We don't deserve your forgiveness," Lucas said. Lila smiled like sunshine after rain. "Forgiveness isn't about who deserves it. It's about healing," she said. "And I've done a lot of healing." As she prepared to leave, she turned to them. "I have a family who loves me, but if you'd like, we could try to get to know each other, slowly, like planting a seed and watching it grow." Hannah and Lucas, tears in their eyes, nodded. Back at her apartment, Lila called Miss Beatrice. "How did it go, sweetheart?" Miss Beatrice's voice was warm and comforting. Lila smiled through happy tears. "It went just as it needed to. Thank you for always believing in me." "Oh, my dear," Miss Beatrice laughed. "You're the one who taught us all to see the beauty in being different. You're a shining star, showing everyone how to sparkle in their own way. What do you think?" Have you ever judged someone too quickly because of their appearance? How can we learn to see the beauty in our differences? Share your thoughts in the comments. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on inspiring tales like this one.